Thank you for that introduction, and actually quite surprised, in fact, even perhaps flattered to see so many people in the audience on a Friday afternoon. Let me first start by saying, I really enjoyed the discussion before this, and let me start by saying that, this talk is not very technical. It's not technical, in fact, at all. It's not even very technology-based. So if you are kind of waiting to get some technical nuggets, you can, start your weekend right away. What I want to do is take a few moments to speak about, in the last 10, 11 months or so, the kind of speed and agility of innovations we are seeing in the world of AI. How is it shaping up the way in which organizations are looking at this technology? And are there some trends or certain learnings coming out in what you might call as foundations for success? These are not going to be new. In fact, if I were giving the same talk 1 year back, I would have probably said the same things, to be honest with you. I think what has changed is the context and the speed and the agility and the democratization. Those are what are changing the messages. The messages actually are pretty much the same. But let me get started anyway. So as we know, generative AI, a lot of talks in this conversation, in this conference have been on that, some really good sessions that I got to attend today. It's not new. AI is not new. And we've seen the journey of AI from the foundation, or rather when the term was coined, to analytics, machine learning, deep learning, and more recently, generative AI. And it's a continuum. It's not like generative AI is the last thing that ever got invented, right? The second point is to realize that even before generative AI, there are some very key milestones that AI machine learning achieved. Namely, for example, AI was able to defeat humans in chess even before deep learning. AI was able to defeat humans in the game of Jeopardy, which is also before deep learning, by the way. AlphaGo, I think somebody mentioned AlphaGo in the session upstairs. That was deep learning. If you know about the problem of protein folding, the most tricky problem ever, which is defines the way we are, a fundamental problem of nature, was solved by AI. This was before generative AI. So I want to put that context to say that while generative AI is getting a lot of hype and attention, one should realize that it's a continuum. There are many really remarkable advances that AI has made. We are now in the world of generative AI, and it's going to continue. But having said that, it actually is, even though I tried to downplay generative AI just now, let me now tell you why it is a paradigm shift. Okay? And that is what I meant by saying that I would have given the same messages a year back if I was giving this talk, but the context has changed. That's what I mean by it. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Okay? So number one, a lot of and many people in this room who are data scientists, I began my career in data science and machine learning way back. We were developing models for a specific task. We were developing models for face recognition, for object recognition, for machine translation. We did not expect that the model we trained for becoming object recognition will start to do machine translation. We never expected that. We never expected that a machine learning model that we train for, let's say, language will start solving math problems. Okay? That's a very big paradigm shift. Because the new models that you are seeing, what we are calling the foundational models or large language models, they are able to do a lot of these things. You don't train different models for different things. Okay? These models have been trained by, on humongous amounts of data, and of course there are many models out there, but they have developed certain capabilities at that scale that is allowing them to do a whole range of things. So that is the first paradigm shift in thinking about AI in the first place, in thinking about models as a platform in the first place. Okay? The second one is that we all use ChatGPT. By now, it's old news. Each one of, and our grandmother has used ChatGPT. The big thing is, it's the the most profound user interface to AI. Everybody was using this. Everybody understood what AI was. Suddenly, after this was raised, it was at least at that time the fastest growing application. It's the UI. It's amazing. It's natural language. It's how we like to talk to people. It's how we like to talk to machines. That's what we like. We understand that. The previous speaker was talking about machine-human interactions. We like to talk. That's what we like. So that's the second big paradigm shift. The third, which is actually the most interesting, is that these models have been trained on so much data that they have developed what are called emergent capabilities. I'm sure many of you understood. I kind of alluded to it a little bit to say that if you train this model on language, does it understand vision? It's not just that. It's actually reasoning. It's the ability to reason. That gets very close to intelligence. Let me show you an example of what I mean by that. So the next slide I will show you is a short demo. It's basically showing for a call center agent a set of standard operating procedures. And then it's showing a call center transcript. Okay? The machine will analyze, you should see it, and you will see what I mean by reasoning. Okay, let's look at that. So those are on the top with the SOPs, and this is the call center transcript. Now it's telling, you asked it, tell me if this agent followed each of those SOPs. Okay? It's going through the transcript and telling you for each SOP, what did the agent do? That's reasoning. That's what you and I might do as a human being with our intelligence to figure out if this person did all this one by one, which SOP did the person do? And I won't play the whole thing because I'm also conscious of time, but in the end, this also says that, can you give any feedback to this agent? Okay, so I'll stop with that. Hopefully that convinces you that this is a paradigm shift on 3 occasions, on 3 points. Foundation models, UI is natural language, and 3, there is reasoning engine behind this UI, okay? So that is why I'm talking about the fact that while my messages are the same, that actually to be able to have foundations for your AI success, you need business strategy, you need to have a technology strategy, you need to have an AI strategy, which I probably would not have said a year back. You need to have thinking around organization and culture, and you need to think governance if you want to do this at scale. Because the time for POCs is over. The largest POC was ChatGPT, and it works. Okay, from here on, we are talking about MVPs or products or doing something at scale. It's no longer about POCs, okay? Which means that is why the context is different. As to why. So I'll go into each one of these in very brief detail. I won't have too much to, I won't go too much detail, but so that's what I mean by saying I'm not going to talk much technical nor much technology, right? So, a chief data officer from AT&T is saying the very first step, and I'm sure all of you understand, anybody who's doing data science, machine learning, the ability to have those interactions with business, it's not new. But I think we say it, and yet there is still a chasm. There is still an understanding. There is still an understanding of really, are you really creating business value? And I think now it's becoming even more clear to us than it was ever before that you have to start with the business problem. You have to start with what are the business needs, and you have to think about taking the business along. This is not new. This is not new, and I'm telling you, it is not something that you don't know. And yet we know that a majority of AI projects don't scale. A majority of machine learning work, a majority of data science work doesn't see the light of day. And the reason is that we are not thinking business first. So today, if I ask you the number of boardrooms that want to understand what they should do with AI, they should do with this whole thing called generative AI, is exploding. And you have to talk to that boardroom on what this means for the organization in terms of business value. We are seeing a set of scenarios that are getting a lot of attention. Content generation is a no-brainer. You've seen all the pictures upstairs, the very nice paintings, et cetera, generated by the likes of DALL-E and Midjourney, et cetera. Summarization is a very big use case. People who deal with legal stuff, people who do with contracts, you name it, when we are having a lot of data, how do you summarize it? You saw it in that. By the way, I could have asked, summarize this call center interaction to me in 5 bullet points. The machine will do it. Code generation, those of you write code, GitHub Copilot is at least the numbers say some 50+% productivity. I think more important than the number of lines of code, what is interesting to me is on code generation is that developers are feeling that they are able to stay in the zone. They're able to get their work, they're able to stay focused. They're able to work on what they're trying to get done. And of course, semantic search. So a few examples that you might recognize where real business impact is being driven. Make My Trip has ability now for you can ask it to plan your vacation, and it's able to do that with you in a very natural interaction style. Jugalbandi, if you followed, is an interaction for the government using Bhashini, which is Indic language models, to help a common person engage with the government on government schemes in natural language. And that is, again, built with OpenAI. GeoHaptic and others. So there's quite a bit of business impact happening. I would just say that I think, let me just play one video for you. Hopefully it will work. So these models are now multimodal, as you know, right? So you will be able to see that it can see the image and it can figure out what's happening here. Okay, I'm just going to move forward. Hopefully it gives you a sense for what I'm talking about in terms of being very clear about the business problem you're solving. AI will be your companion. I'll come to that a little bit more. So I think I'll wrap this part to say, be very clear on the business objectives. Measure what you are trying to do, because what gets measured gets done. Get support for your goals and have a portfolio approach. Have a portfolio approach as to what you are looking to solve. The next point is on technology strategy. Now, I won't spend too much time into this, but I think the few important takeaways that I will take that we are seeing organizations take is actually, before I get to there is a Gartner chart that I want to put out there. The generative AI, the way people are looking at generative AI, there is the models, which is we talked about a little bit. But then there is people are looking at fine-tuning these models. Some of them are talking about, building your own models, or if you have data, then you want to add data retrieval, retrieval augmented generation, RAG stuff you'll hear about, and prompt engineering, and then you have your application. Broadly, if you think about the way these models are building the stack, that's how one should think about it. And what Gartner has put out there from left to right, if you look at it, is what people are doing in terms of using or consuming these models. So on the left-hand side, the leftmost column is to say that you are consuming generative AI as part of a built-in application. So for example, if you look at M365, and within there are certain co-pilots, and I'll show you a demo, that's how you're consuming generative AI. You're not building anything on your own. So on the right-hand side, complete right-hand side, is when you are saying, okay, I'm going to build my own LLM. Okay, and in the middle are the different variations. There's some fine-tuning, etc. What Gartner was saying is that 80+% of people are actually in the first three columns in terms of consuming them. What does that mean? That means a few things. One, to the previous speaker's point, is that the ability to use this capability is driving and needs to drive thinking about your data estate. And thinking about it, not just thinking about it, but really having a strategic thinking about your data estate, and largely increasingly on the cloud. So thinking about your data estate, because that's what you need to be able to derive insights from your data, whether it's from RAG kind of techniques or pretty much anything that you want to do in this realm at scale. Because like I said, the time for POCs is over. The other big takeaway here is that security. If you're not thinking about security at organizational scale, those become important. So whenever I talk to my teams about AI, I'm encouraging AI is good, but it will not work for you at scale and drive the business impacts unless you have thought about data, about cloud, about security. These three absolutely go hand in hand for this to really be strategic for you. Okay. When I think about AI strategy and experience, this is a slightly different take, but what I want to talk about here is, thus far we were doing certain things, but now organizations are looking at AI as a key part of their strategy. There's a business strategy, but there is an AI strategy. What does that mean? That means, am I AI first? Anything that I do I think about what will AI do with this, or how will I leverage AI for this differently? So there are several things to it. One is, are you going AI first? Are you thinking about systematically every part of your organization, every use case, what will AI do with this? So organizations that are really leading in this space are thinking about their AI first strategy. It is not a bolt-on, it's not an afterthought, it's AI first. Just like we went from desktop to mobile first, we went from cloud first. We are still in that journey, but anyway. What do you do with AI first, right? So that's the second part. The first part. The second part is, because it is not a POC, what you do, are you doing it at scale? Are you doing it at scale? Are you doing it in a way that you are not trying to prove the point to the board, to the CXO room, that, we did this thing in this department and look how well it works. You are thinking scale from day one. That's what I mean by saying that being AI first is what is happening. I won't play into this, but that's essentially the idea. Are you taking a systematic view? Are you thinking AI first? Are you thinking scale? And are you thinking in what way will you consume AI? I'll keep moving forward. By the way, another thing which is, some of the drivers which people are using for AI first could be just accessibility and inclusion. Because the ability now, like I mentioned, in terms of having a chat interface, really changes the way in which people of different skill levels, different abilities, disabilities, can access code, can access applications in ways that earlier we had to put an additional effort into. That is built in today. So the next part is on organization and culture. This is a big topic, and clearly it's Friday afternoon. Let me just first start with one word. The nature of work is changing forever. What work means is changing forever. And so I'll touch on one part of it, but that has implications. Nitya talked about literacy, right? Data literacy. How do you create data literacy from the top? How do you make sure people are thinking data? Everybody has opinions. Everybody needs to bring data. In God we trust. Others bring data. All of those are elements of this part. But let me just start by saying that we recently did a study, and contrary to what you might think, actually employees, and there is a work trend index that we study, that we do, and also have telemetry data from a lot of Microsoft 365 products around the world, and et cetera. And so that gives us some signals as to how people are thinking about it. Employees are ready to embrace AI. Employees are ready to embrace AI. What they are looking for is, they are saying, can I delegate some of my crappy work to AI? Can it help me do some of the stuff that I really don't enjoy doing? Can I really get some time to do something creative in my job? I'm getting an overload. Can I have some time to innovate? That's what people are saying. So the idea of work, the idea of thinking, how can you have a partner, an agent or co-pilot that is intelligent and can really be your partner, is the power of this generative AI. That is the real power. So I'm going to show you a few things. So let's say look at Bing, right? Bing is Microsoft's search engine, and it's kind of the co-pilot for the web. Let's look at what happens. So I'm going to ask a simple question. If there are people from Wipro here, I didn't pick it for any particular reason. It's just one company I picked up. And I asked him some question. Tell me about it, right? What it has done is, it's gone to the search engine. This is Bing Chat. Okay, this is not ChatGPT, but the idea is very similar. But unlike ChatGPT, what this is doing is going to the web through the search engine, getting that data, giving it to OpenAI, and telling it, OpenAI, tell this to me in a nice conversational manner. Okay, that's what you're seeing here. Then I asked it, what does Lab 45 do? By the way, I didn't have to say, what does Wipro's Lab 45? It understands the context. And then I come to it. This is not a very big example, and I won't show in any other examples in this, but actually the way in which you can use this reasoning engine as an augmented companion, I don't start any job without it. I don't start anything without it. To me, this is AI first. I mean, absolutely, anything I do, I first start with this. Because it tells me not just information, but also indices where I can go further and understand where it picked up this information from. Okay? Now, we as a company have gone all out. We are completely betting on these co-pilots. So if you've been following Microsoft, we have a co-pilot for every single Microsoft product. Whether it is Microsoft 365, whether it's Dynamics, Power Platform, security, everything has a co-pilot. You will not understand what I mean by this until I show you an example. So I'll show you an example. Let's look at Copilot in PowerPoint, okay? Just look at it. If you got to start a new presentation, and you are sitting Friday afternoon, you could use a cup of coffee, and you're like, how do I start this thing? What if this Copilot could give you a head start? Could create something for you that you can build upon, give you a first draft. Let's look at it. So I gave it a director-style document to say, pick up from here. It's creating a draft presentation for you. This it picked up from a Word document. Okay? Then I'm telling it, add a slide about cost benefits. This is the Copilot. I'm talking to the Copilot. It's doing the work for me. I'm working with the Copilot. Okay? Move the slide, make it more visual, add animations to the slide. All this is being done by the Copilot. That's what I mean by saying that what if you could have an intelligent agent that could work with you while you are thinking about this proposal that you want to write to get some funding for your project, and you don't want to get caught into creating the nice-looking circles and nice-looking charts. That's the point. And similar thing applies across, whether you look at Power BI. In fact, you should look at on YouTube a demo on what it means to work with a Copilot in Power BI. Trust me. Okay. So as I said, we have gone all out on Copilots. We are developing Copilots of our own across every possible product. We are developing Copilots with our customers. Because now that we have learned it, we now have a Copilot stack. And we say, look, this is what we did to develop these Copilots. We have thought this through. We have done some engineering and tooling, et cetera, around it. Create your own Copilots. So I'm going to show you the picture of healthcare, this thing right after this. But the idea is it's a productivity game changer across functions, across industries. Because if you think about the way in which you create your documentation, whether you create a new proposal, whether you write code, if you look at Excel, a Copilot in Excel, it does your own charts, and you can ask it questions as to what trends you see in that data. So let's look at what a healthcare company does with a Copilot, okay? Because that is an industry that is going to get seriously disrupted with generative AI. So let's just look at that demo. This doesn't have sound. So here is our partnership with Epic. The doctor asks the patient for consent, that person is being recorded. The Copilot is recording the conversation, and it is summarizing, and it is developing the history of present illness, history of current situation, and then the doctor comes to after the patient visit. By the way, how many of you have observed that when you visit a doctor's office, the doctor is not looking at you? Doctors are not looking at you. They are barely listening to you. They are writing or they're typing. This changes that. That's what doctors are supposed to do. They're supposed to be there for the patient and actually listen to the issues. So the ability, and in the US it's actually even worse. The fatigue of entering data into computer systems is so large, the doctors are just spending evening hours catching up with the day's data entry. So this changes all of that. She's able to get all the insights from the recording. She's able to get summarization from that. She's able to pick up from there and enter whatever the medical record she needs to summarize, okay? So this changes, think of this as a Copilot developed on a Copilot stack, but is a Copilot for doctors. Okay, I'm going to move forward. Now, what we did on, the last one is on AI governance. And this is very important because obviously you hear about, and it's true, hallucinations and jailbreaks and all those, it's there. Yes, it's there. It's like saying, why do you drive a fast car? You drive a fast car because you know it has got brakes. Why do you get into an elevator without thinking for 2 seconds about it? You know, it's a box that goes up and down several hundred meters with a string. You do it because you know it has got safety systems. So the way to think about this is that very familiar, very aware of the situation, of what this means, but without this, you will not be able to innovate. Okay? So Microsoft launched the Bing, the Microsoft Bing and Edge in February, and then we went as if there was a deluge. How could we do this? What made this possible? It could not have happened overnight. Why and how could we do this range of product innovations at such a short period of time? We didn't start January 1st, we'll do all these announcements this year. No. Because for the last several years, we've been on this responsible AI journey. We've been on this journey to build the systems, the processes, the governance, the standards to ensure that as an organization, as a global company working with thousands and thousands of customers and partners, we are able to move on AI innovation at scale. That includes our principles, it includes, as I said, standards. By the way, our standards, our second version of our standard is available publicly. It was published last year, you can check it out. We've intentionally kept it outside so we can get feedback. And in this year itself, we are getting into several initiatives to ensure that we are getting, oh, my time's up, okay. All right, so I'm going to move through these a little bit. Our entire responsible AI journey is based on a lot of research. A lot of Microsoft research is dedicated to AI, responsible AI, privacy, security, explainability, transparency, everything, right? Then there's a policy element to it. And then, of course, engineering. For generative AI, the way we are looking at it is that this is a powerful technology. This is a technology we would like to leverage to innovate. Our mitigation approach is a layered approach. There is a platform angle to it, and then there is a application angle to it. On the platform angle, there are safety systems like AI content safety, Azure AI content safety that is already getting built in. There are foundation models, as I mentioned. On the application side and the way you use your data in terms of RAG or any other technique that you might use, that is what grounds the model, and then your prompts is what steers the model, and then there are meta prompts to ensure that your model is doing what it's supposed to do and has the guardrails around it. So with that, I'm going to end. Given my time is up, I talked primarily all business. It's all about saying, this is not a POC anymore. It's at scale. Are you thinking strategically about it? Are you thinking business first? Are you thinking scale? Are you thinking about governance and how you are ensuring that your culture becoming data-driven, and how you think about work? Is that keeping up with the way technology is advancing? So with that, are you ready for this paradigm shift? And I'm done.